All right. Hello, my loves. Welcome to May's Energy Update. I'm going to give it just a moment for everybody to hop on. This is probably the first time I've had so many cameras pointed at me. I am live on every single platform right now, and it's kind of cool, but it's a little overwhelming because I have so many different cameras pointed at me. So for those of you who are new to me, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multidimensional channel, teacher, and healer. And I'm here to help you go from where you are to where you want to be by trusting yourself, trusting that inner knowing, and just returning to the safety of your own being. So some interesting things that we're going to start with here, because there's a lot that we're going to be talking about. I have an energy update on the board that we're going to go into. And at the same time, I have a special announcement that's going to come a little bit later. But for those who don't know, my words are light encoded. And so I have the gift of light language. And so what that means is during this transmission in particular, right, these are called transmissions, there's going to be an activation coming through, and it kind of makes me a little jittery. And so I'm probably going to move around a little bit more. And you may hear me clearing my throat or doing things like that because I'm moving the energy. So the activation that I'm being told is going to be coming through is going to ride along my words. Okay, so you might feel a warmth, you might feel a pressure in your chest, but it is going to be an activation for the heart chakra. So we're really going to be opening up to the energies. We are recording this on the 555 portal. So if you are listening to the replay down the road, this activation is still valid. The energy is still true because time is an illusion. So when you are present with me, you will receive that energy. So during this time, if you feel a little anxious or you feel a little bit of discomfort in parts of your body, just really notice that it's there. Know that there's nothing wrong. It's just energy moving, and we're bringing it up like a vending machine. We're going to be bringing it up to the heart, and it's knocking at the door of the heart saying, will you let me in? Will you love me? So just open up to that energy and really allow yourself to experience it. Okay. So let's dive into this because nobody could not have been, like, everybody should be feeling this energy. The Schumann resonance has been spiking constantly up and down. We've really been feeling the high intense plasma rays coming in. We are again in a very rich sector of space filled with photonic light that we have never experienced before. We've never been in this part of space. And so this energy is very, very activating. And the only way I can really correlate it to people is if you had a dimmer switch in your home and you clean the house, right? And you think you did a great job. And then one of your kids comes home and they push the dimmer switch all the way up. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I missed so much dirt. That's what happens when we go through these sectors of space. When we go through that time in that belt where there's so much photonic light that it feels like there's a spotlight constantly on the imperfections, the self-judgments, and spotlighting the things in our life that we think are less than, whether it be lack or not feeling enough or your insecurities or your fears. And so the reason why I like to do these energy updates, because I really have considered not doing them anymore. So if you really appreciate these energy updates, you can let me know by liking, by commenting, by sharing, by tagging people that need to hear this message, and just letting me know, because I've really been on the fence of whether I'm going to continue to do these. But the reason why I like to do them is because there's a lot of energy updates out there, right? And they can all differ a little bit depending on the audience and where their audience is on their journey. But the reason why I like to do them is because I like to help you navigate them. When I was waking up early on in my journey, I would watch these types of things. Energy updates weren't really a big thing back then. But the things that I were watching, they were telling me about information that was happening, but they weren't telling me how to navigate it. They wanted me to buy this or buy that. And while I can appreciate their time and energy, and of course, I want you guys to appreciate my time and energy because I do this to be of service. I'm a little bit different in the fact that if you go back and watch any of my energy updates, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn how to navigate the energy. And so a lot of times, if you are a loyal follower, and I have lots of them, and I love you and appreciate you, a lot of what I say, you hear it every single time. But there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is we want to get it imprinted in you. We want it to integrate. So oftentimes it takes like 17 times for you to hear something before it clicks. And it clicks in a way that you won't ever forget again, where it hits different. So you're like, yeah, I know that. And then one time you're going to listen and it's going to hit different. And it's going to click in a way that it never clicked before. And so this is why I continuously share this information very freely. And you can go back through any of my energy updates and listen to the words that are coming through and pick up different techniques and different information or ways to help you navigate the energy. Because very often, sometimes I don't always call, like on my, especially on Instagram and Facebook, I will share in between updates, right? I will share on my stories, hey, we have this coming in or we have this coming in, but I don't always do that. But sometimes I feel called because people will be stressing out. They'll be searching, what's wrong with me? Why does my head hurt? Why does my back hurt? Why do I have no energy? Why am I so thirsty? Why am I craving this particular food, right? Why is there a loud ringing going through my ears? And so sometimes the collective is noisy enough in that way where I will get nudged to go ahead and put something out there just to kind of calm them down so they stop seeking to fix it. Because when we feel that intense energy, and trust me, I am someone who has a very deep connection with the planets, and I'm a starseed through and through. And so when the planets move, when anything moves, when anything happens in the cosmos, I feel it very intensely in my body. It's not something I want to feel. It's not something I desire to feel. It's just what happens. And so it's a matter of surrendering to it. And something I just got done telling a client that I was on a session with before this was, this is what this feels like. So when this past week, I have felt the energy of resistance, right? I have felt a lot of resistance coming up. And I was very aware, because I was living in the present moment, that I was in resistance, right? That I was feeling resistance. I am not resistance. I am not in resistance. I am feeling resistance. And I could recognize it and say, this is what resistance feels like in my body. And that way, no matter what's happening, even if I'm not present, I will recognize that feeling, and that feeling will translate. Okay. So I'm always telling people who are like, I can't see out of my third eye, or I don't hear clairaudiently. It's like, well, the heart is the translator. So when you allow yourself to feel the emotions of whatever it is that you're feeling, when you allow it, when you let it in. So let's let go of the word let go. Let's forget letting go of something, and instead open the doors of our heart and allow it in, as if you are wrapping a child in a warm blanket and saying, it's okay that you feel this way. I'm just going to be here with you. I don't need to fix it. I don't need to tell you it's going to be okay. I don't need to tell you it's all going to be better. All that I need to do is to be here with you. And that's going to be you being there for you and knowing that this is what this feels like. Okay. Oops. Hold on 1 second. There we go. One of my cameras, it doesn't like to stay live. All right. So before I get going down the rabbit hole of that tangent, we needed the energies to start coming through and really opening up your heart. So I want you guys to all just take a deep breath with me. Just pause at the top and let it all out real nice and slow. Because what we were doing was really opening up that heart pathway and really allowing for the energies to start coming through into your heart. All right, so let's dive into May, because April was intense. I told you guys April was going to be intense. We were going to be going through a redirection, right? A rebirth, a redirection energy. I don't like to call it a rebirthing or the phoenix rising. I call it a redirection because this energy was really about seeing in April where you were out of alignment and where you need to be redirected. And we were having these wounds come up over and triggers up over and over and over again as an opportunity for you guys to practice integration. And integration means lack of judgment. So when you've integrated a wound or you've integrated, grief or a trigger or someone who normally would piss you off or a judgment, right? You won't judge it anymore. There won't be a trigger. You won't look at somebody who's overweight or poor or rich or whatever the story is, the belief system that you're holding. There won't be a story to it anymore. There won't be a judgment. It will just be what it is. Good or bad or indifferent, it will just be what it is. So that's how you know that you've integrated it. And the only way to integrate it, right, is to be with that energy. So when it happens, it's being aware, number one, right? Like when my book gets published, you guys will have all of these little details. But number one is being aware that you're in the trigger, being aware that you're feeling disempowered, being aware that you're feeling angry or sad or whatever it is, right? And then allowing yourself to be in that energy and loving yourself anyway, right? I got it tattooed on my arm, right? I love you anyway, as a constant reminder that I will love myself anyway. If I made a mistake, if I chose something and it turned out to be a bad experience, whatever it is, I'm going to love myself anyway, right? That's the whole basis of unconditional love. You might not like what happened. You may not like what that person's saying. You might not like how they're behaving, but it doesn't change the fact that you still love them. So it's loving ourselves anyway, no matter what we're experiencing. So May, the first part of May, right, is really going to be about that integration. This is like practicing the integration. And so that can sometimes feel like trigger after trigger after trigger, or energy coming through constantly where you feel like you just can't get your energy. You just feel like you can't get going, right? So if you guys have questions, by the way, you can put them in the comments. At the end, I will do it so I don't break my channel. So the theme for this month is renewal through integration. And what I mean by renewal is it's just a fancy way of saying coming into union, right? Same with integration, right? We are coming out of the muddy waters. We're getting an opportunity to rinse ourselves off, just to have the mud flung back up on us again, just so that we can practice rinsing ourselves off again until we no longer, there's no more mud, right? Or you just don't care and you just continue to walk with the mud. It's coming into union with yourself. And we do that through reflection. Everybody in every person, place, or thing, because it could be animals, it could be situations, are a reflection. Now that's in your reality, right? In your personal reality. It is a reflection. Sometimes it's going to be something that's happening collectively, right? If something huge happens, like for example, like 9/11, if something big like that happens and it triggers you, that's because there's a resonant match. Whatever it's bringing up, whatever that situation is, it's a resonant match in you. So if your children do something or someone does something to your children and it pisses you off or makes you sad or mad, or something happens to one of your animals or something in your business or your car or whatever it is, right? Something that's not happening to you and it triggers you, then it's for you. It's bringing the energy of the past, whether it's past life or childhood, to the present so that it can come to conclusion, so that emotional digestion cycle can complete, so that you don't have to keep experiencing the same trigger over and over and over again. So once you stop the cycle and you allow yourself and you bring it into that space of completion, it's purified. It's purified. And that's why my method is called the purification method, right? Purification process, actually. So May's energy is about integration, basically coming into union through with yourself through renewal. So for those who have been through this with me a few times, you know that I usually bring through 3 themes that we're going to run through this, experience in this month. Now, it usually runs, they usually give it to me in the most linear way that they can, right? Because again, time is a construct that humans created. So, but know that these energies will blend. And for some of you, you may already be in the middle energy and have already gone through the first energy. And some of you, you may not feel the first one until halfway through the month. Know that wherever you are on your path is right where you're supposed to be. Okay. I did a whole video on divine will versus free will. It's on YouTube if you want to go back and revisit that and understand that you are always right where you're supposed to be. Always. So the first theme, again, is that integration through union. And I pre-channeled some information for you. I don't usually write it in this way, so I knew it was important that I was writing it this way. So healing patterns of not enough, lack, unworthiness by observing in the now and consciously rewriting it, okay? So with the integration and that union, we're going to be facing fractals of ourselves, okay? Fractals of ourselves, meaning anytime you've been in resistance or denial or disassociated or numbed it out, you created a fractal of yourself. You took a piece of yourself and you said, I don't want to feel that, and you pushed it away. That's called fragmentation, okay? And if that's something that you are in the thick of and you've experienced, I have a whole course on that called Reclamation. It really brings those pieces back in together. But just knowing that when you're in denial or avoidance or repressing, that you are literally taking a piece of your puzzle that's whole and taking it out and setting it on another table and saying, I don't want to feel that part of me. And then you wonder why you feel disconnected or why you feel stuck. It's because there's a piece of you that you don't want to acknowledge, that you don't want to bring close, that you don't want to feel. And so you push it away. But again, what you resist persists. Law of attraction works both ways. We live in a dualistic universe. So in duality, there are 2 sides to the coin. Fear, excitement. Pain, joy. So it's just a matter of recognizing, right? There's a part of you that you don't want to feel and bringing that back in. Another part of this energy is going to be seeing through the illusion and holding the bigger vision or dream as a beacon of light. As a beacon of light. So it's holding the vision or the higher knowing that you have a goal in mind. I want to manifest X, Y, and Z. I want to go here. I want to be here in my journey, right? Whatever there is for you, wherever it is that you want to go, that's the goal. That's the vision, the higher knowing, the desire, whatever you want to call it. You hold that and you recognize, and how we see through the illusion, right? If you think about the owl is my spirit animal. Had the spirit animal, when I say your spirit animal, I'm meaning the animal that stays with you from the whole journey, beginning to end, not a totem. And mine's the owl, and the owl can see in the dark. So we could come outside and it could be pitch black, no moon, no street lights, and the owl can see with night vision. So oftentimes what happens is when we are presented with a trigger, it's blinding, right? Blinded by rage, right? Blinded by sadness. Or you're in such deep turmoil internally from trauma or grief or whatever it may be for you, that you can't see anything else, right? So it becomes blinding. It's dark. And with the owl sees through that. And a lot of you, this is what I want to share with you, because not everybody's at a space where they can see through it. But what I want to tell you instead is a way that you can navigate seeing through the illusion is just recognizing where you are and calling it by its name. And for those of you who have worked with me and been in my memberships or my courses, you know I channeled the 4 frequencies in 2019 as a way to not pull me out, but to navigate my own darkness. I was in a very dark space in 2019. I have gone through many dark nights of the soul. I've been on the doorstep of suicide many, many times in my life. So these frequencies that came through for me were a gift to help me navigate that darkness. And so one thing that I want to tell you is the first thing that you want to do is just recognize where you are. Call it out by its name. I feel disempowered. I feel angry. I feel hopeless. I feel. Don't say I am. I am is an identity. I am is saying that you are defined by these feelings. And you are not defined by an emotion. An emotion is energy in motion. It's water. It can be contained, but that's about it. It's either going to sit and get toxic or you're going to purify it. So it's not definable. Water is the only thing that can be all elements, right? It can be a gas. It can be a solid. It can be a liquid. So it can be whatever it needs to be, but it's really undefinable. So your emotions are a feeling or a sensation. So call it out by its name and say, I feel disempowered. I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel confused. Or if a block comes in, right? So you think this is how it's supposed to be and something comes in, this belief comes in and stops you in your tracks and you're not able to get where you want to be, or the manifestation doesn't arrive because there's this limiting belief. And if you keep hitting up against it, right, it's like you're hitting a wall over and over again. Well, if you finally just stop hitting the wall and realize that you've hit a wall, oh, there's a wall there. Cool. That's how I want you to treat your triggers. Oh, cool. There's a trigger here. Cool. It's not cool. It's not going to feel cool. I get it. Trust me. I get it. But you becoming aware of it and calling it out by its name will allow you an opportunity to come into acceptance of, okay, I asked to go to the 12th floor. I said, this is what I want, universe. This is what I want. And what you want is on the 12th floor. It's a high vibration. Well, the universe is going to look for the shortcut. What's the fastest way we can get her there? And that may be you running into that wall, because if you found a sliver in the wall, you might try to squeeze your way through, and you might even get a little trickle of manifestation coming through. Or you could break the whole wall down by saying, this is no longer a truth that I want to carry. This is something that was programmed in me. I don't even believe this. This is not even something I want to believe. Okay, there's the program. There's the story that was imprinted on you, right? It was imprinted on you. Eventually, and I might do this in my membership that I will be talking about in a little while that I'm announcing, but the chakra system is very misunderstood, and all the teachings that are out there, they don't go into the depths of how a chakra is developed and how that development shows up in your bones and all the information that's carried with it and how long it takes to develop. Like, they don't go into that depth of information. And I wish more people would. Maybe they don't know that information. I don't know. But it would really help people to understand that our energy center is so much more than just portals. Right? Everything is connected. There is no separation between anything. Between me and you right now, there's zero separation. I am you, you are me. So with that said, if there's anything I ever say that triggers you, you're welcome. But if there's anything that I say that you don't agree with, that's okay. It's not your truth right now. It may not ever be your truth. Take what resonates and leave the rest, okay? It's not a big deal. Not going to hurt my feelings. So helping us with this energy, there's going to be a new moon in Taurus on the 11th. So on May 11th, we'll have a new moon in Taurus. This is going to be grounding our emotions and intuition into clear goals and tangible intentions, helping us to embrace change and move out of our comfort zone. So how can we integrate fully if we're not grounding our emotions, meaning bringing our emotions inward, not pushing them out, not trying to flush them out, not trying to bring through the violet ray and transmute them. We are bringing them in even deeper. We're bringing them into your heart and saying, I'm going to wrap this energy of anger in a warm blanket because I know that really anger is grief's bodyguard. That anger is really the protector personality that steps in front of the grief to protect the vulnerable child who feels weak if it shows its emotions. That's all. So we really need to ground that, right? And then it's helping us to embrace change and move out of our comfort zone because of where we're going, where the flow of the energy is taking us, right? So theme number 2 is clarity, and the new direction appears. The new direction appears, and we have clarity. And that's important because clarity is what everybody seems to want. Right? Clarity is the thing that everybody seems to want all the time. But the major theme that kept coming over and over and over and over again as I was preparing for this energy update was the energy of trust. And for those of you who know or remember, the month of March, I held a mini intensive course, a mini course called Becoming Your Best Self. And in that mini course, I taught people the literal framework of how to begin to feel safe and trust yourself and to trust your instincts and how to return to yourself over and over again. Because this is what was coming. And it's interesting because I've seen a lot of other coaches and healers out there that are putting out similar things right now. See, I was preparing all of those who wanted to go on that journey. It's easier if you prepare yourself for it necessarily than navigating through it. Because now when you're navigating through it, for those of you who are in it, now you get to put those tools into use like hardcore, right? You get to really integrate them if you've been practicing them. And this is why I tell people spirituality and your spiritual practice or your shadow work or any of those things is not an hour meditation that you do every day or 20-minute meditation or yoga. It is the most spiritual thing you can do is be human, is to integrate spiritual principles into your human journey and your human existence. Those tools aren't going to do you anything if you're only practicing it when you feel zen during that part of the day, right? You have to use it in real time. So trust and thrive in who you are. Learn to feel safe in your own body and in the truth that you are here to do or speak. And as we know, we have a lot of censorship happening across all platforms. The whole wearing the mask nonsense, all of it is designed to silence you so that you are controlled. It's a form of suppression or having, not being allowed to speak your truth. So that is a wound that's coming up collectively for almost everybody. I don't know if there's anybody that has not felt like they were not safe to share their viewpoint or their opinion, their truth. And there's a lot of people that don't like it when I say your truth, but truth is what you believe in. And until that belief can be shaken enough to let enough light in to allow that belief to transcend, that will be your belief. And there's a lot of people that are hardcore stuck in their beliefs and stuck in their ways, and that is their choice. It means nothing about you. Last month I shared, it wasn't even my truth, honestly. I felt guided to share about DMX. I felt guided. I came out of meditation and I had this overwhelming feeling, and I was like, there's something I need to see. And I opened up my phone and I read this article, and I felt really called. The family felt like they were being censored, and I just wanted to get this information out. And it wasn't like this was my belief. I was just putting information out there, and I got hammered by people. And what that showed me was how many people were in fear of the possibility of what I was saying being true. Because if it was, it meant that that they didn't really know themselves that well. So when someone is telling you or saying an opinion or a belief or their truth, right? All three kind of are all the same thing. That's why I keep using different words. If you're watching someone who's posting something and it triggers you, I want you to recognize in that moment, if you want to defend, if you want to fight and say, no, that's not the case, I need to prove you wrong, just recognize that there's a fear inside of you. And that fear is saying, what if this is true? What if we were wrong? Just take a breath. What if you were wrong? What if you made the wrong choice? Spirit comes in and says, there is no right or wrong. And I've had some beef with my guides on that one, because even though I know that, I still personally feel the energy of indecision sometimes. And what if I get this wrong? And so what they have come in and said is, instead of seeing it as right or wrong, see it as an experience. If I choose A, what do I feel my experience will be? And if I choose B, what do I feel my experience will be? Which one feels like the better experience? Choose that. Now, also recognize, they say, highest and best is not always easy and comfortable. Highest and best is always going to be the shortcut. Highest and best is always going to be the very thing that you need that will evolve your soul the fastest. So one experience may seem scary or nervous because it's uncertain or unknown, and one experience may seem comfortable or easier. Take note of that. Because the easier one, the one that feels not scary and comfortable, is going to keep you in the same loop that you've been in. It's your comfort zone. And this one is going to stretch you. And the quickest way is through. The only way to no longer have fear is to be willing to walk with your fear, is to make it your friend. So when I find things that I'm afraid of, I'm like, I know I got to do that. I got to do it because I have a fear of it. Especially if I'm petrified. I was petrified to go on a helicopter. Why? I have no idea. Never been on one. I don't know what it feels like. I never really knew anybody that went on one that could give me an idea of what it felt like. So what I realized was, oh, I'm not afraid of the helicopter. I'm afraid of the uncertainty of how it will feel when I'm on the helicopter. And that's why I'm always telling people, you're not afraid of anything, but you are afraid of how everything will feel. You're afraid to feel. And when we're afraid to feel, we close off our heart and our ego takes over, our protector personalities take over, because that is control. But control is fear. Why do you think the government controls so much? It's in fear because it knows it's way outnumbered. And if everybody got together and woke up and said, holy crap, we're actually the ones in charge, and everybody got together, well, there wouldn't be a government anymore, right? Everything would change. That will happen, by the way. So this energy is helping us to trust and to thrive in who we are and what we are here to do and speak. Whatever that is. And some days you're meant to trigger people. And other days you're meant to be triggered. I still get triggered. And I've been on this journey for a while. And I have the tools. I teach the tools. Right? You usually teach what you're meant to embody. trust your instincts and what you're called to do, go and be. I kind of just touched on that. So again, trust, trust, trust. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you, we are on 2020 opened up a 7-year cycle for us of creation of the new earth, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the new earth, new earth, new earth. The new earth doesn't just appear and we don't just take a little train ride over to it, right? We don't just one day move up in dimensions and get there, right? It is built right here in real time. There's no separation of here's 3D, 4D, 5D, whatever, however you want to put it. It's all happening here. Your spirit guides, your ancestors, your loved ones that have passed away, they're not up there in heaven. They're standing right next to you. They're standing right next to you. There's no separation, right? They're not up there or down there. That's not how that works. So understanding that will help you. But knowing the 7-year cycle, it is built. So for it to be built, something has to be broken down. So over the next 7 years, right, around 2027, between 2027 and 2030, we're going to see the biggest manifestation. Remember, everything's a slow motion replay. We got Metatron in the house. Anytime I start getting real sweaty, I know Metatron's here. Whew, okay. He says he's bringing through some transmutation energy. So if you guys are getting hot or you're feeling things moving, or later you feel a little flush, just know that it's just things being transmuted. Whew, okay. So everything has to be broken down. So the slow motion replay between 2027 and 2030, we're going to see that the greatest manifestation, but it will be built, and it will be built by, listen. So what happens if there are restrictions? Let's just go here for a second. Because I see a lot of people who share and post about, oh, this is not fair, that, you know, they may make, you know, passports to travel inside the US or whatever, right? To do things, we'll have to have a card that says that we got something, you know what I'm saying? Without saying it. So that's okay. If that happens, it was meant to happen. You want to know why? Because in the restriction, in the limitation, potential will be born. When you are pressurized and squeezed to a point to where you feel like your back's against the wall and something has to be done, something will be done. And instead of there are people out there who have to be pressure cookered, right? That's why things have to continuously get dark or restrictive, because it's a pressure cooker that forces you into an awakening. It forces you to turn on the lights inside that you have been refusing to turn on so that you can find a solution instead of focusing on the problem. So in that restriction, there will be new ways, new places, new things built to provide an outlet for those who don't want to do that. Do you see what I'm saying here? If there was no need for it, it wouldn't be created. So there has to be a need, a desire. That's why I say I was born with the mission, my life purpose, if you will, not my mission, my life purpose. If you followed me for any length of time, you already know the answer to what I'm about to say, but your life purpose is not what you're here to do as a human. Your life purpose is what you're here to learn. So my life purpose is to return to the safety of my own being. To return to the safety of my own being. So you know what? I had to be born into abandonment. I had to be abandoned, rejected, denied. I had to choose parents that were going to do that. I had to choose partners that were going to choose everything but me. I had to pick all of the things so that every time I was rejected, every time I was abandoned, every time I was denied, I would come back to me. It took me a long time to learn that. A long time. And part of my life's mission is going to be to help you do the same through leading yourself. That's why everything I do and teach returns you to you, the safety of you, the love of you, the trust of you. But during this deconstruction phase, right, let's just say we go into revolution. Let's just say the government collapses. Let's just say all of a sudden we have nobody telling us to go to work, no one telling us to pay the light bill, no one telling us to pay our water bill, no one forcing us to pay taxes. All of a sudden we have had the handcuffs removed and we can go. We have to find our own food. We have to find our own resources. Nobody's providing anything for you anymore. Do you trust yourself to do that? Do you trust yourself to know that you will find food, that you will find water, that you will figure out a way? If there's any part of you that's like, I don't know. What if that means that you don't have an income coming in and and the store's shelves are bare and nobody's there? Are you going to know how to figure it out? If you trust yourself, you will. Because when you trust yourself at this level, it doesn't matter if you lose all your money and you become homeless. It doesn't matter if you lose your vehicle. It doesn't matter if you lose your job. It doesn't matter if you lose somebody in your life. You know that if and when, moving some energy, that happens, you trust yourself enough to know what to do. That not planning now, let me go through all the scenarios of how could I fix this and what can I do? That's going into the story. That's creating your reality. That is creating that timeline of lack, of not enough, of doom and gloom. But when you just trust yourself, when that fear comes up, you say, okay, what if it does? When and if it happens, we will know what to do when we're faced with it. Because right now, I'm just in fear of the what if. I'm in fear of the uncertainty. So this is why everything I do is about teaching you how to trust and love yourself and how to be safe inside of yourself. Because otherwise, all you're doing is trying to control your external circumstances so that you feel safe. Let me fix my partner. Let me fix my kids. I am so uncomfortable sitting in the void of somebody's emotional upheaval that I need to fix it. This is why people struggle with grief. Someone just lost their partner and their emotional mess. And we're like, can I feed you? What can I do? It's going to be okay, because we're uncomfortable with the grief that it's triggering in us. When in reality, all we're being asked to do is hold space. And hold space means we sit in the dark with them. We sit in the dark with ourselves. We don't fix. We just say, I'm going to sit here with you for as long as it takes. That's the importance, you guys. I cannot stress this enough. If you want to open your gifts, if you want to channel, if you want to do anything, be limitless in your possibilities, you have to feel safe inside of yourself. You can't manifest if you don't feel safe. Let me rephrase that. You are always manifesting. You can't manifest intentionally if you don't feel safe inside of yourself. Safety is like manifestation 101 that all the manifestation teachers seem to just gloss right over. You have to trust in your ability to discern and choose. And you got to love yourself whether it happens or not. So part of theme 2 that's really going to amp up this energy is Jupiter entering in Pisces. It's at home at Pisces. I am like 89-90% ruled by Pisces. It's my moon sign, and because I'm a Cancer, I'm ruled by my moon sign. I'm a triple water sign. For those who don't know me, know that. But Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and Neptune, right, is a very dreamy planet. But Neptune is all the subconscious stuff. Neptune is the depths of the darkness, because there is no separation between dark and light. It's just different ends of the spectrum. That's it. That's why they call it the gray area. You ever notice that? Really light, really dark, gray area. There's no separation between dark and light, good and bad. Evil, no such thing. Different ends of the same frequency. That's it. Different side of the spectrum. That's it. So Jupiter's going to be entering Pisces on May 13th. It's really going to amp this up. It's also going to help with our clarity, because or Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune really helps us tune in to our visual senses. So Jupiter's at home in Pisces and will amplify your intuition, your mysticism, your compassion, and your spiritual gifts. Right, and this 5-5 portal that we're in right now as I speak, and the energies that have been building up to this, right? 5-5-5 is the number of change. This is the 5th year. Everything is changing this year. So there's a lot of people that are a lot of karmic endings of relationships, jobs, pets, locations. A lot of people are choosing to take their exit ramp of this journey. So a lot of big change. Again, remember, April was about the redirection. The 5-5-5 portal says that's the peak intensity, right? And now, as we already began the integration phase, towards the end of April, we stepped into that, the very tail end of April. But that integration is, okay, we've made the turn, right? Now we're going in another direction. And a lot of you don't even realize you're in that direction yet. So a lot of you don't even realize you've been redirected yet, but you will. Theme number 3, towards the end of the month, we're going to have a realignment with our inner temple through purification. Okay. So this realignment is, if you really look at this, it's very beautiful the way that it came through, right? We have a union with self over what we just went through in April, right? And honestly, March and April both were. March was a pretty intense month, but it was for me anyway, I experienced as a good intensity. I know a lot of people did not, but that's okay, right? So if you're following me here, there's been some intensity. There's been a lot that's been upheavaled. So we've had experience with integrating that and practicing, right? And then we come into new clarity. So we went through the muck, we came into a clarity, and now we've chosen, and we think we're going down that way. Now we have a realignment with our inner temple, meaning you need to check in with yourself. Is what you're doing and the direction that you're going in alignment with you? Is there an agenda? Are you honest with yourself about that agenda? For example, I closed some membership programs at the end of February, and I figured by the end of March I would be ready to move on to the next thing, and I wasn't. I'm just now announcing it 2 months later. And the reason why is because I wanted to make sure that this time, whatever it was that I put out into the world was not for anyone else. It was for me first. It would benefit them, which means it benefits the whole. For me, for you, for us. But I had to make sure it was something that I felt amazing with, that I actually wanted to do. So this is a time where you get to check in with yourself and say, what are my agendas here? Is this something that I want to do, or if I feel like I'm being forced to do it or called to do it, but I'm not ready yet? It's kind of an inner check. Let's check ourselves here. A time of reflection and redirection if needed. See where you are out of alignment and choose to redirect. A commitment to the path through devotion. So once you decide, like, hey, this is really, really, really this is great. I'm committed to this path. I'm going to make it happen. At that moment, you've committed, right? But if you're like, I don't know, you're not in commit. You're in inner conflict. So you need to sit with yourself and you need to see what parts of me don't want to do this. Am I afraid? Does it not actually bring me joy? So it's about sitting and really having that time of redirection. And the fact of purification, I was laughing when I wrote purification because I realized that this is a full moon total lunar eclipse in Sagittarius on the 26th of May. We enter eclipse season. And by the way, we are already in eclipse energy. It's always 45 days out, you start really feeling that eclipse energy. But it's the blood moon, right? So the toxins, when we think about emotions, it's a fluidity, right? So the fluids in your body, your waters, your blood. That's what makes it toxic. That's what brings viruses and dis-ease. So when we purify our spiritual energies, we also purify our body. And there's more to my method than that, but that's why it was named the purification process, because it's cleansing of the waters that run in you, whether that be blood or water. And by the way, not to confuse you more, but when you understand the chakras properly, the sacral chakra is a portal. It's like a water line that connects you to all of your ancestors and your parents' ancestors. This is why our kids, during that second life cycle, right, 8 to 14, why they're so crazy. Because all of a sudden, the sacral starts to develop. And once it gets to a certain point, the flood waters from all of your ancestors starts to come in and mix with the dry ingredients of the root, and something begins to grow. But what most people don't understand is shame is not an emotion. It's a chemical. And it can only be passed down through the generations. So I needed to put that in there for you guys. This full moon total lunar eclipse in Sag is bringing major culmination points of fated situations, relationships, energies, and events that were initiated in May of 2020. So think back in May of 2020. I can tell you right now, I asked for a divorce from my third husband. So everything comes to a point. Everything comes to a culmination point. So what was happening in your life April, May-ish of last year? What big events stick out to you? This is why I love journaling, right? Because if you don't know, you can go back and look at your journal. You're always going to put in there the shit that you don't like. So kind of take some time to reflect on what was really happening last year at this time for you personally, and know that there's going to be some fated events that are going to attempt to bring that energy into conclusion. Karmic releases of outdated beliefs and ideas may see new restrictions collectively. So that is a possibility as well. Originally, when I was beginning of the year, when I was channeling the energy for the whole entire year, I saw summer pretty open. And I don't think it's going to be too terrible, but I am starting to, as you see, to get information that we might start seeing an attempt on restriction. We might start seeing an attempt on drawing things forward. And we have to be mindful that a lot of times when we watch alternative news, or we watch other channels or people who are out there sharing this type of information about what's happening on the human side, like, you know, what's happening in the government and whatever. The energy is fluid. It's always changing. So what I have been told by the guides is that when we hit about 65, 70% of the certain countries awakening, right? The collective energy at a certain point, they're awake enough, then we'll really start seeing a shift in things. And this is why, until that happens, if those people aren't waking up, and let me tell you this, it is not your job anymore to wake them up. A lot of people are out there, and I was even one of those people where I would share things because I felt like this is going to bring awareness and awakeness. And there's times when I'm still going to feel called to do that, and I'm not telling you that that's right or wrong. But what I am telling you is don't try to wake somebody up anymore. It's pointless. It's just going to cause you more turmoil inside of you. So allow people to be where they are in their journey, please. Because otherwise, you are trying to put them somewhere where they're not ready to go. Because if they were ready to be there, they would. So what happens is the collective does this. This collective does this for us. So this is why we have outlandish, ridiculous, crazy things that happen in the world that we light workers look at and go, oh my God, like, hello. But they're like, doo-doo-doo. They're in their naiveness, but let them be there. Have you guys never had a day where you're like, damn, I wish I was still asleep. It was so much easier when I was asleep. I didn't know what I didn't know. Allow the world to pressurize them and wake them up in the way that they need to be awakened. Look at where they are and be like, that's where you are. Now, I say that at the same time as if you feel called to share with them another perspective, there's a way of doing that, right? And this is where we learn that alpha communication. We learn how to speak with emotional intelligence. Because if you are in a heightened state of emotion, you are not smart, people. You are not intelligent if you are emotional. You need to check it. You need to get neutral with it before you speak. Otherwise, everything that's going to be coming out of your mouth is tainted. It's coming from a wounded place. So that's the energy update. I'm going to check questions here in a minute because I see a lot of comments, and I thank you guys so much for commenting and sharing and all that good stuff. Something that I'm super excited about, and I know a lot of people on TikTok, especially, they really wanted to have a chance to be a part of becoming your best self. So listen up, especially if you're one of those people. But what I have opened today is the portal of potential. And I believe that we are all portals of potential. Our bodies are our wells. Like I always say, it's our well, right? It's what contains our emotional waters, our spirit, our energy. So it's a portal. This body is a portal. I'm sure you guys have heard of walk-ins, right? When someone decides they're done and another celestial body steps up and says, hey, I would actually like to continue that mission, and steps in for them. And it looks like they had a near-death experience, but they're totally different. That's a walk-in, right? So these are literally portals, and we all have so much potential. So the portal of potential is going to be like a membership that I've never done before. I've always been very regimented, right? We're going to have one healing, and we're going to have one Q&A, and we're going to have this, and it's going to be on these dates. But for those of you who are familiar with human design, I am a 1-3 emotional manifester. I'm a visionary. I work based upon inspiration. So if I'm not inspired, and then I have set a scheduled event for myself, I step into resentment because now I have an expectation. I have to do that. So I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm going to work with my design, how I work. So this container is going to work more like a VIP. You guys are going to get early access to videos, some of which will go up on YouTube for free within a week or two. Some you'll get 10 minutes for free on YouTube, and the other hour or 2 hours of that video will be in the membership. I'm going to be really being transparent in this membership. This is something I've really been called to do, but I can't do it publicly because not fully, because there's a lot of people in the story that are very much alive, and it's not my place to put their business out publicly without their approval. It's just a respect thing. So I'm going to be diving into my abandonment wounds. You guys know I recently went and faced my mother who left me when I was 3. I'm going to be writing a whole book on that, actually, but I'm going to be sharing a lot about that. I'm going to be sharing about the healing of my adrenal fatigue, of all of I've had a ridiculous amount of health issues that I've healed. I'm going to be going into my abuse and how I've healed my abuse. I'm going to be giving you guys real time. This is what's alive and active in my life right now, all while holding the potential that that's not what I'm defined by. And people love it when I share stories, because when I give instruction and step by steps on something, some people love that, but the majority of people, that's why we resonate with movies and with plays and with music, because it tells a story that brings something alive in us. So I'm going to be sharing real time, super transparent, super vulnerable moments with you guys. I will still be there's going to be spiritual development in there. Oh my God, I'm so excited to sit in my power with you guys that join, and to really work on cultivating our intuition and our trust. I'm going to be doing Q&As. I'm going to be doing mini sessions. I'm going to be doing light language transmissions and healings, but I'm not going to say I'm going to do it on these, this is what you're going to get every month. It's a potential, a portal of potential. And the potentials are limitless, because guess what? I don't know who I'm going to be next week, and neither do you. So why should we define this container? Instead, let's create a container of safety, create a safe space. That was my favorite thing with becoming your best self, was we had the best family of people in there. There was like 55 people in this course, and they built this connection and this bond and this family that was just, I hated to let it go. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. These people built relationships, and I want to cultivate that in the portal of potential. And so what I'm going to offer you guys, and you guys all know why, right? Why this is important that we do this, is so that when the stuff starts hitting the fan and when the world starts crumbling down and breaking down so it can be rebuilt, that you are rock solid in who you are. And you don't feel in fear. You might still have fear. You're never going to be without fear, but you're going to be like, I got this. It'll be all right. I know it. You'll be so in tune with that intuition that you will know. So some of it will be live. Some of it will be pre-recorded. But as a bonus, the first 30 people, please hear me when I say this, 30. The first 30 people will get Becoming Your Best Self course. Okay, so it's $111 value is what I put the mini course at. It's about 5 hours of content, and it's a mix of many different courses. It's a jump start of how to feel safe and trust yourself, how to literally begin to be your best self. Because in order to manifest or to become or to get to where you are, you have to be it first. You have to match that energy. And a lot of people don't understand how to do that. And so I want to show you how. And so the first 30 people will get access to that. It's already in the membership portal when you once you sign up. It's only going to be $23 a month. There is no year option. It's just month to month. And so Corey, if you could please drop the link to the membership. You will also see that in there you have the option of joining the Self-Mastery Academy. You can look into that. There is a coupon code. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me. But the Portal of Potential should be the first one. So Corey, if you could drop the link to that. If you're on YouTube, it's in the description below. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram, it's in the link in the bio. So that is all we have here. Let's see what kind of comments we have going on. I will just check with everyone. So don't go anywhere yet if you... let me see if there's anything good. Oh, thank you, Lynn. You guys she's saying she likes my hair. It felt fun and flirty. Thank you for this amazing update. What a journey. God, it is a journey. Hi, Harmonia Tarot. Oh, that's another thing. I'm going to plug Tanya Lee real quick. Harmonia Tarot, if you're on YouTube, you can search Harmonia Tarot. She's also on Facebook. She is launching right now a tarot course. And there is nobody better that I have found than her at tarot. So if you want to learn tarot, you want to search Harmonia Tarot. She's got an amazing course that she's going to be doing. Lynn Clark, sometimes the feeling is so scary that it feels like it will overwhelm me or I will die if I let it out. What do you suggest to handle intense feelings? How do I stay open and allow? Great question. So sometimes we can't do it all at once. Sometimes it is too much. So we learn coping mechanisms to help us do little bit by little. One of the things that I kind of let you guys into, a little secret that I do in private mentorship is, I have a few clients that have a ton of fear. And I recognize that because I am someone that still to this day has a lot of fears. Right? I have a long list of fears that I'm clearing. So we do it with like microdosing. Right? Exposure therapy. So when it comes up and it's overwhelming, you want to utilize your breath. You want to come back and use coping mechanisms. So in my modality, I use a mixture of many things. One of them is somatic healing. And so you want to look around your environment. You want to recognize and tell your logical brain that you actually are safe. There's no tiger coming at you. You can find a color, pick a color, black, green, and find everything in the room. Let me clear some energy here. You want to find a color and really bring your focus, bring yourself into the present moment. Because when you're overwhelmed, when you're feeling that anxiety, right, it's because you're making the energy about you. And people don't like it when I say that, but anxiety means that you are making it about you. And what you're experiencing is because, and what I mean about you, it means because of you. not because of your actions, but because of you. It means something. It defines you. So you recognize, this isn't me. It's something I'm feeling. This is a sensation that I'm feeling. Take a breath. This is what this feels like. And then do things that are going to help you. So if it's super overwhelming, then you want to move the energy, right? So you can walk around your house, you can turn on music and dance it out. You know, you can go for a walk. You can do those things. I wouldn't recommend doing that every single time, but if it's so big that sitting still with it is so overwhelming and it's debilitating, then it's not serving you either. So that means that you need to move the energy, right? And so, but before you can move the energy, you need to really become present. And that's the best way to become present. So I hope that helps you. 5D spirituality debunking YouTubers. I love you anyway. You are safe to have your belief. Love this awareness from Corey. Let's see. Eating is actually going to be more, if you're eating, you're going to be numbing. So I wouldn't eat. If you're feeling emotional overwhelm, I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't drink. I wouldn't do anything that's going to medicate it. I would either move the energy if you can't sit with it and bring your awareness logical. If you're eating like fruit and you're eating really slow, that's different. But most of the time when someone says they're eating, it's because they're medicating. I don't know how to do that. So all the people on TikTok wanted me to turn my camera around to read the board. The board's really more for me, you guys. It's for me so that I'm not looking down at a piece of paper. And most of the time I rarely don't even need the board, as you saw, but it's just a reminder to keep me on track. I am a way shower, which is the same as a light worker. I'm usually a little bit ahead of other people so I can help them navigate. Let's see, anything else? And let's see if there's anything on Instagram. Just want to make sure that I don't miss anybody. Perfect. All right. Yeah, fruit's a great one. It's just slowing. It's just slowing. Remember, you want to slow your energy down and bring you back into the present moment. Okay. So if you guys are interested in joining me in the Portal of Potential, you'll have instant access. I also give you guys in there, there's already 4 language of light activations and 1 spiritual development transmission. And there is my very beginner course called Awaken the Magic for anybody who joins that's a newbie on this journey who doesn't know what maybe their spiritual gifts are yet. That course will help you figure out which one is yours. Like which is your highest. You can open them all, right? They call them clairs. You can open up all your clairs, but my predominant one, like I have all mine are open, but the one that's the strongest is clairsentience. So that course helps you understand that, and it kind of gives you a very basic understanding of the chakras. It doesn't go into the depth that I shared with you guys today, but I wanted to have something in there in case I get some people who are really new to their awakening journey, because there's so many people waking up right now. So there's already a bunch of goodies packed in there if you feel called to join. Obviously, you can cancel at any time. So no worries about that. It's not like a contracted thing, but there will be, after 30 people, I will take away the Becoming Your Best Self course. It is an added bonus for the first 30 people. If you felt like this was something that other people need to hear and you receive value, please let me know, and please share it and let other people know so that we can work together to heal. Okay, there is no competition here. Everybody could teach the same thing and it would still come out differently. So please feel free to share and get the word out. And I hope that all of you guys can find some grace to help yourselves navigate through this. All right. So I love you. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I will see you next time.